We are back for Desperation Point.
Nice.
Episode 28. Tim's back. He's here.
Hey, Tim.
Posting good to Mayo.
Hey, guys.
Starting next week, if you're watching this video, 8 months or however long it takes for us to get out after we actually played. We're actually playing in person next week for the first time in a year. And the last time we played in person was February 3rd, I think. So March, April, May. So roughly a year and 3 months we'll all be playing in person, which is pretty cool. Kay is going to try to make it. She has some work stuff, may have to work remote, but we're going to be playing in person from now on.
Full 3D, at least for us.
That's right.
Not you, but
yeah, not you. but that also means we nonetheless, we're going to try to get everybody caught up on Desperation Point for a couple of reasons. Foremost of which was we will have a new player joining us. A mutual friend of ours, Sarah, just finished law school.
AKA Stanley.
Stanley. That's right, Stanley. It's mean. But she's still Stanley. She's still Stanley on my phone.
Yeah.
So Sarah will be joining our game. She's taking the bar at the same time she's playing with us, but she does bar classes 9 to 5, right down the road at UMKC. So she'll be joining our game as a new player, our new 6th player for number 2, which is Desperation Point is coming to an end, as we are going to do a whole new game called As Above, So Below. And so the players around the table are familiar with some of the conceits of it. We actually came up with some ideas last week after the game closed up, but because we have a new player coming on board, because it's mid-year, and because we're all be playing in person again, we're going to do something fresh and new. So that will happen. If you're watching this in the future, this happened on June 3rd. On June 3rd is when we start the new game. So I think what we should probably try to do on Patreon is get people caught up, get some episodes in the can, and then however we want to handle that. I'll leave it up to Adam and Mike and how we want to do that. But because I'm just the guy who runs the games. They run the Grim Perilous Patreon that I have no connection with. We just take advantage of the snacks. Thank you, patrons, by the way, for your patronage. It's really appreciated. We're going to probably do some sort of big food blowout, of course, because we have rations that the team has saved up since last year. So thank you seriously for supporting Grim Perilous during the pandemic. Really excited to play in person again. Really excited for a new player and a new game. So it's a perfect confluence of events to start fresh. So because we're on session 28 of Desperation Point, and before we jump into the standard ritual, roll for coins, roll for initiative, talk about last week, I want to we should do this within the framework of the game, because I want to have an opportunity for us all to talk above board what we want to try to achieve the next 3 game sessions, because we literally have 3 game sessions left until we're in person. We make new characters for As Above, So Below. So let's actually get our coin stuff out of the way. So everybody roll D6 chaos die. I've got 1 for me.
1,
4.
Give me a 6. Give me a 6.
Nope, got a 4.
I can count on K. I've got 2.
I thought it was Nick.
Fortune. You've got 2. You got 4 fortune.
It's actually the first time I've rolled a 6 in this game.
Oh,
For
nice.
that, I should say.
So I'm going to put the coins right here in the player's handbook. So with that being done, let's now roll initiative. So Nick is our initiative tracker. We'll pass that to somebody else in the next game. Thank you for your service.
Only messed up a few times, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
9.
Or as they say in Missouri,
Oh,
excuse me. Let me slide by you.
I got a 13.
There's nothing wrong with that, all right? It's
There's
polite.
It is. It's Missouri. It's Missouri politeness.
Collinsworth got a 15.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to say Chauncey 9.
and Keegan?
18.
18. Okay.
Cool. What's our initiative order look like tonight?
Working on it.
I'm going to be on the bottom.
Whoa.
Makes sense. Being a warrior. Yeah, type. Yeah.
You're one of them warrior types, aren't you?
I'm the muscle mage that Calvin is.
Yeah.
Brian bonus of what?
It's only a 6, but that's because my brawn bone is a 60.
Mhm.
God, your brawn is a 60?
Yeah.
Jeez.
The Writing brothers are buff. I mean, Adam, you're at a what, an 8?
Hang on. Let me make sure. That is, well, my score is only a 50.
Right, only.
Yeah, but I'm at an 8.
Right, because he actually works out. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
This is all natural.
So what's our initiative order tonight?
Keegan, Osbert, Collinsworth, Calvin, and Chauncey way down the bottom.
I rolled a 2 again.
Before we jump in, real quickly, I'll pause this real quick. We'll be right back in just 1 second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. We had to talk about something off camera real quick. So, with initiative rolled, we got together last week and played. So, what happened last week on session 27 of Desperation Point? Who wants to kick us off? Tim, you were here.
Well, we started off with the with returning with the eagle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got back to camp.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tim's gonna love this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say
A story about how
Yeah.
Calvin
some-
saved the day.
Yeah.
yeah.
It got bad.
Yeah, it was probably good that you weren't here, honestly.
So
With you guys.
all right. So
Yeah, I only had so many points. We'll just put
Gotta
it
pull,
that
Yeah.
way.
pull the fool's errand for a reason.
so while Collinsworth was trying to get his eagle, Calvin was trying to learn a spell, if you remember.
Yeah.
And the spell's name is Fire's Warmth,
Oh boy.
which the effect of it is that if you succeed, you and a number of people equal to your willpower bonus basically can't be affected by cold weather for like a number of hours, equal to like, it was like 6 plus my willpower, which is 8, so 14 hours. And something great, we can get off this cold mountain, not have a problem with the cold weather. But I roll and I fail. And I'm like, you know what? I got like a 49% chance. Let's go ahead and just try re-rolling it. And I critically fail. And the critical effects in Flames of Freedom are in the spell. So it'll tell you exactly, what, it just kind of like Zweihander spells. And so with Fire's Warmth, if you critically fail, you take 2 plus 2d10 peril every hour and for the duration of the spell. So we had 2d10, and Dan's rolling like rocks.
Yeah, of course.
And so when you get down to incapacitated due to cold weather, you take frostbite, and so now we're suffering from frostbite, and Keegan is trying to like treat frostbite, and it's starting to go bad pretty quickly, as you can expect. 14 rounds of 2d10,
For everyone except Osbert.
for everyone except for Osbert, because he's immune to the cold effects thanks to his professional trait.
Mhm.
And so I believe Keegan decided to spend 3 of their determination points, right?
Mm-hmm.
To basically save the 3 of us that were, freezing to death, essentially.
Because we
Magically.
were dead at 6 hours.
Yeah, it was like 6 hours, we all would have died.
It was really bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like we
Yeah.
tried things like eating food. I think Keegan even like critically succeeded one of her treating the frostbites. So like people were going up, but you would just go right back down. Like, yeah, because I had like a 12 or I think it was a 12 peril threshold, and even then, it's with 2d10, you're still just going down.
Yeah.
1 or 2.
I
pretty much.
did lose 3 toes.
Oh yeah, Keegan lost toes. So
Minus 3% from Braun permanently.
From Braun?
Mhm.
yeah,
Ability?
If
uh-huh.
Keegan would have lost 5, would have lost a foot. No, fingers are agility. Toes are Braun.
Okay.
It's all right. I think karma got me because I ended up cutting my finger this last weekend for Mother's Day when I was cooking food. So I think they're just like, you know what, you got off too easy. Karma got me.
So Keegan, so Kay basically narrates that he finds a way to keep everybody warm and safe inside the tent, and just kind of pulls through at the last moment. And
I made Calvin cast again.
Yeah, that's right. Made Calvin cast. That's right. Made Calvin cast again too, but part of the determination, because determination allows you to basically take the narrative reins and decide what happens.
Right.
So to save the three of them, Kay sacrificed all three determination, and is now part of the Zero Determination Club.
Yeah, Zerba to cheers.
Yeah.
Is anybody else a Zero Determination? Out of curiosity, I don't think anyone's.
I was for a while, but
Nick, I was saying Nick was.
Nick was.
Yeah.
So you managed to survive.
Way to leave the club.
Yeah.
Loser.
Everyone manages to survive the cold in the middle of crossing Gorhoth, trying to get to Gorhoth, the Horn Society, and then you descend down into the valley. And what happens from there?
So we see like a big, like, mass grave or something. Like basically all the people, all the Eridan that have like passed through here, like, and just didn't make it.
From the first shore.
So like, you know, they had the learner that could kind of guided them through, and like we just don't. So Osbert invoked his Faustian bargain trait, or his drawback, and called upon a dark entity to help them to guide them on their way through the valley. So a great sacrifice was made on his part.
Yeah, because he had to bargain with the entity, and the entity would not accept initially what Osbert was offering.
Mm-hmm.
What did the entity take from him?
He took the Forked Tongue talent. I no longer have that.
You never get it again.
Yep.
That was the bargain.
It's lost.
Wow.
So now Osbert is able to take them toward the first shore, toward Dun Modra, which is the direction you had to head anyhow to eventually get to the Black Hinge, because we know that Dun Modra sits at the foot of the Andals Bridge, which is like the bridge that crosses the massive river between Gorhoth and the first shore, where the Eridane landed during the early Second Age before they even settled Aglador. So with Osbert knowing the direction to go, they start to head through this really creepy forest for days and days and days. It's not cold. It's a little dark and wet, but because they're out of the Horn Society and they're not in the frigid climes, the mountains, you push and you push and you push. And what happens from there?
I think we came to a point where we saw a settlement of the Picts.
That's right.
Wasn't that Dun Modra?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you kind of came, basically the forest turned into a series of low mesas and canyons. So imagine passing through, the Appalachian and then making your way down into the equivalent of northern or southern Colorado. Cold canyons, massive mesas. And I believe at the very, very end of our session, you had set your final fire at dusk. And you were deciding on how to approach this situation, knowing that it's potentially fraught with complication. And that's where we're actually going to pick up. Everybody gets 50 reward points, by the way. So we will pick up right as the first fire is struck at night. And I'll set the... You can hear the low rumble of thunder from like a late summer thunderstorm, but there's not a cloud in the sky. There's just this rumbling across the canyons. And the sound seems to be not coming from the sky itself, but the earth. You can almost feel the vibrations beneath your feet at times too. Darkness has settled over your encampment, and although you're not in the mountains and cold as before, it is growing. You are so far north now that even toward the end of summer, it's probably 40-ish degrees out. Fortunately, you're dressed appropriately and equipped appropriately, and the great thing is your quartermaster, Keegan, has managed to keep your food stuff. So far, you've kept up on your food. Like you haven't expended all your provisions. You're still riding on elk back. And you're imagine like if we see the camera pan, if this is a movie, we see a camera pan through these thin clouds slowly as it begins to slowly come around an encampment of these shadows of people and the elk standing amid them. The fire kind of fighting back the darkness, and the vault of night open before you. This great unknown sky where the mirror is massive and full and visible in all her glory, looming over the horizon of great Mahal of the world. The camera kind of comes down into everyone standing around the fire. You can see the light of the flames across each other's faces. Looking over the horizon, you can see that distant mesa, the distant low mountain, where you know the history of the Aridane started. You can see tiny lights twinkling along its edges. You would guess that must be Dunmodra. And beyond that, the mystical bridge that bridges here to the first shore, where your people came from. And that's where we start.
So there's no way around. I mean, it looks like there is.
That's why we brought the guide.
You were there, if you recall, with Anjka, the gray-skinned Pictish woman, and the man she had hand-fasted, Dane, the man with the coal beneath of his eyes, who had married a Pictish woman. You were also there with, if I'm not mistaken, what is her name? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
Abigail.
Abigail, the Abigail Cavendish, the princess of Dunbrood, who you have, in a sense, not taken hostage, but released from her potentially having to ascend the throne of the Twin Kingdoms. But you were there. Anjka says, our roads through the north here eventually end at Dunmodra to the Andelsbridge. The mountains are impassable on either side. There is no direction to go but that way.
It's better to go through at night.
We were speaking when you were making water, she says. She points toward where you just had your evening constitutional. We were talking about whether or not to simply approach Dunmodra and negotiate, or to try to sneak around to the Andelsbridge. She looks toward the others. One thing that you have learned about this woman, Chauncey, is that she is no leader. She is clearly an asset, but when it comes time for decisions, and although you've only traveled with them, only known them for a week or so, right, all eyes turn toward this fool and motley, this self-styled Thane who literally wears the trappings of the beast they have slain or tricked in the north. He wears the cladding of some great northern warrior, but beneath is this moon-faced boy who's clearly Aridane. But somehow they have managed to connive and trick and sneak and fight through the worst of things from the stories they've shared with you along the road, which all seem to hearken true, despite the fact that Osbert tends to clad them all in bullshit.
What'd you guys decide?
We didn't.
I voiced for going around as much as possible, and I believe Osbert voiced his opinion to go through Dunmodra to.
I'm not. Now more that I think about it, Calvin, I'm not totally opposed to your plan.
We've all seen the results of my most recent plans, so I defer to you.
I'm not abandoning my own by any means either. In fact, I think we should play it by ear.
So you think that we would be able to successfully negotiate somehow a way to get through?
If it came to that. I think the ideal situation is we sneak, and if we get caught, then we negotiate.
You believe that we can negotiate with the Picts?
I
do
believe
not.
that we will take what options we can.
I've
Again,
been known to be able to
You
talk
see,
to
you
people.
see that? You see that settlement up there? There's
I
no
know.
way around it. We've got to go through it. We can either do it by subterfuge or chicanery.
that's why I was saying, is it easier to get through at night or during the day? Because I'm telling you, you're not going to negotiate with the Picts. And maybe I don't know your trickster hat that you wear gives you some mind-bending abilities, but one does not negotiate with the Picts. One
Has
fights,
one tried?
dies. In all the time that I've been in the North, that has been the way. But
This is the way.
you can try. One does just not walk into.
Was that simply sneak into Dun Modra?
I was trying to not say the line perfectly, though, so
Chauncey's
No
the
copyright, no
Chauncey's the
copyright.
barbarian in the situation. He's also going to betray you. You're going to get filled full of arrows at the end.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
And take 30 minutes to die.
Yeah. The extended version has a 45-minute death, so you can be fair. R.I.P. Shambi. So yeah, nonetheless, all of you don't really. You mean to color kind of a clearer portrait. And this is not to change your minds, but I just want to be clear about what you understand about Chauncey's past. And Chauncey, this is kind of a memory that's been firmly cemented into you. Like this is like a root of who you are. The Reddings fought the Picts all throughout the Rovane Girdle. The Picts have never been amiable or friendly or willing to negotiate. They are true marauders. And those who have been in the Rovane Girdle and throughout Aglador have been nothing less than aggressive. And you were in the very heart of where the Picts, like their life's blood was born from. They were born literally from the earth you stand upon here. Even before the Eridane came here to this continent of Mahalma, even before they reached the first shore, the place where the Eridane landed in the Second Age, nearly 800 years ago, they were born here. That is a part of who you are, though, Chauncey. That's
what I'm saying. I've spent
Yeah.
my entire life fighting them. I don't
That's right.
see any path forward, but I'm willing to listen. My choice is to sneak and fight if we must.
We'll sneak the best we can. If push comes to shove, we will negotiate before we fight.
That sounds fair and wise.
If someone was sneaking through your house, Dane says, as
Yes, that's what I'm
he
saying.
wanders forward into the fire's light. You could see it dancing off of his pale skin that's tattooed in the coal beneath his eyes and his shaved head. If someone was sneaking through your house and said, please wait a moment, I did not mean to sneak into your house, do you think that you would negotiate with them?
No. It's one or the other, guys. We sneak, we fight. We negotiate, maybe we don't fight. That's it. Those are your two options. I agree with Dane here. I think you can't have it both ways.
I, for one, don't believe that we would be able to
I don't think we can sneak.
survive a fight.
All right, we'll negotiate then.
You feel that Osbert is vacillating very quickly between decisions as you all gain one conflict.
Right.
One conflict.
It's very clear that Osbert is trying to come to some end without actively making a decision himself, as if perhaps he's racked with an indecision he's not even mentioning.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just wants to see the world burn.
I
How far is the
apologize. I'm not
bridge?
much of a planner. I'm a doer.
How far is the bridge once we get through? Is the bridge also protected?
Anjka narrows her eyes. The Andal's Bridge, is within sight of Dan Modra. Maybe the link of an arrow's flight, she says.
And do they protect the bridge?
Dan Modra watches the bridge, but my people do not cross it.
I've been known to negotiate sides before. I'll just state that. At one point, it was my specialty.
What is your gift? What is our bargaining tool? Why wouldn't they just kill us because we're on their land? But that's what you need to understand is
Well,
nothing.
there happens to be people that we don't get along with that have probably been quite a thorn in their side. Most notably, there is the Green John. And there is that old saying, the enemy of thine enemy.
I think we're fairly far removed from the Green John up here. They probably barely know of him. We haven't heard much of anything of the Picts down below the south of the Horn Society. I don't think they even traffic with him.
Well, I don't know much of them, but if they have any, I don't know.
Here's what I think. They do know these druids. These druids are feuding. Otrig and his lot with what was the other one? Scorn? I can't keep track of the names. Spite. Yes.
A spite.
The word is like a guttural spit, as Dane says it as he on the ground. The word itself seems to really raise his hackles as you say it aloud, as if you're invoking a demon.
We will tell them the truth. We will tell them that we aim to end this conflict between the druids, to bring peace to their land, and then we will be gone. We don't want to settle. We don't want to linger. We want to get the job done and leave. We'll cross the Andel's Bridge where they can't or won't.
Wow. That was okay. Well,
it's a better idea than trying to sneak.
Yes, and it's a better idea than I think I could have if I sat and thought about it for a week.
Well, that's why I'm Thane around here.
Yeah, let's do that.
It sure is.
Abigail cocks an eyebrow. So that means that Keegan, this small, wiry-looking woman dressed head to toe in black plate armor. The thing that you notice about her almost immediately, Chauncey, is that it's emblazoned with the symbol of Balmony's Dominator. So you mean that Keegan shall be the mouth of this crew, shall do the key negotiating. This very mousy woman who barely speaks, the third companion of your group.
I trust that Keegan is quite capable of rising to the occasion, as always.
It shouldn't be a Redding that speaks. That's what I should say.
I'm fine with that speaking.
And
particularly you.
And don't say your name. The Picts will know your name.
Understood.
The good news is I'm one of the few people here not related. So
You already have won the Picts over then.
So the name Redding, there is an oath, I suppose it is in the Book of Grudges among the Picts.
Yes.
So no mentions of the name Redding. Keegan, Abigail inquires, can you tell me, do you think that this is something you would negotiate on your own?
I've done so before. If that's what
see,
people wish of me, I can do so.
I reckon she can translate for us, right?
Anjka says, I can translate the words. They may not speak the same language as you do, but I can translate, she says.
I have my skill in understanding people, even if we don't speak the same language as well. So shouldn't be too difficult.
Look, sneaking through is not going to work.
There's too many of them.
It's
I can tell by looking from here.
It's a city. We are not of their people. She will be able to walk through. The rest of us will be slaughtered.
She lowers her head and she says, Anshka says, they will know me on sight as a blood phallic. She uses a word that none of you are familiar with.
So, almost as bad as being a ready.
She nods.
Almost.
Outside her is what she says.
So she's been kicked out of the tribe, and I'll look at her. Man, probably for easily seen reasons.
You've never seen a Pict with ashen gray skin. Let us say that much. When you look upon Anshka, her skin is literally the color of ash.
So notice the blue woad, right?
No blue woad, just gray ash.
But
Come to think of it,
right?
you've never seen the Picts without the woad.
Right.
She wears none.
Well,
Challenge.
so it's going to be Keegan and Osbert off to negotiate.
Osbert. I can help.
And what if
I know how they think.
sorry, my apologies. The willowy woman says, and what if they make a scene to try to murder? We can't just stay back here while the others go forward. Abigail says.
Oh, we should go in our numbers. We should not hide ourselves. If we're going for open dialogue, we should present ourselves.
No physical subterfuge.
I mean, I will be able to help translate. I think I speak their language better than. And I'll look at what's the one in plate mail. What's her name?
Abigail.
I think you probably speak their language.
Nay, not know a lick of their tongue. I just know that they're vicious people.
That's what I meant.
You can always ask, do you speak my language? And see if they'll hand you a Vegemite sandwich.
That's one.
That's only one.
It's not. K tracks.
That wasn't even a pun. That was a quote from the song.
Really? You're gonna say that's not a pun? What's the difference between using a lyric from a song and saying a pun? What's the difference?
A pun is where you use a word in place of different word to have the same but different meaning.
So you were
right?
using multiple words in place of multiple words to use a different meaning, yet somehow that doesn't equate out to a pun?
I was quoting the song. That's what I was doing.
Right.
Okay, fine. Half.
Yeah, well, half.
Or, perhaps you could call that.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, perhaps you could call that half-baked then.
So we have 1.5 now?
I mean, you could definitely consider
Look,
it minute
I'm
work.
not at work. I don't want to deal with fractions.
Counting, right?
If you truly mean to negotiate, lay your cards on the table, tell them everything, and I'm sorry to say it, you may not speak their language, but it is going to be, we will have to give something to get through. Be prepared.
Abigail's her face kind of grimaces a bit. And just what do we have to give the Picts that they can't just take from you?
Sounds like we do have something to give them. Freedom from the war that they have. As long as you can promise that. They might just laugh at you, though, that you're going to face the druids.
Perhaps they'll see that the druids will save them the trouble of killing us. Osbert shrugs.
Well, to be fair, even if we take a few of them out on our way out, that helps them.
Well, I think everything sounds in order and we're ready to go.
It's settled then.
She will need all of your support. That would be my thought.
Oh yeah, well, I'll be there.
And Trickster, the Thane of Tricks or whatever you're pursuing here, would not lie to these men. Would not lie to the folk. They do not take kindly to that.
As long as they don't find out.
The night falls and the fire softly begins to die down. All of you need to make a challenging test, challenging resolve test to see how well you sleep that night. Where did you sleep last night?
I failed with a
Success.
69.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. So everybody is restored to imperiled, and then you wake up that morning suffering from stress. So you gain 3 conflict, and also suffer another 8 peril.
Is anyone still hurt?
Yes.
The storm has subsided.
You said it, we wake up at imperiled?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you suffer additional peril.
I'd like to try to make breakfast before we set out.
Okay. Your chances will be challenging today.
Okay.
We have coins in case you need to use them. Fortune token.
Nope, 23 will work.
Nice. So what happens when they eat the food?
Everybody eats. You go back to unhindered.
Nice.
And so I'm bringing it up here. Then I believe you can go up 1 step on the damage condition track.
Yeah. So the meal kind of fills your bellies and you feel a bit better than you did the night before when you woke up. Not so uneasy, not so anxious. And you then strike out down from this tall hill, descending down into the valley toward Dunmodra. Is there anything you wish to do before you wrap up here at this encampment?
Is anyone still injured?
Some sort of signal to the pigs that we are coming in peace, a white flag or whatever the equivalent is in their culture.
I don't think that exists.
Anjika kind of snickers. That isn't, she simply says.
All right, then. It's worth a try.
Collinsworth, Calvin, Keegan, Chauncey, anything you all wish to do to prepare before you leave?
Is anyone else still injured?
Yes. Hurt.
Okay. Then heal, which it's hurt, so that means it's auto succeed, right?
Yeah, auto succeed. You go up 1 step. Just spend your bandage.
Yep.
And I believe that Keegan is like a bandage master now. I think Keegan has like 1 billion bandages. It's something crazy. I know that.
No,
But
actually,
the doctor made us a shit ton.
I lost like 6 though up on the mountain trying to treat people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, frostbite.
I'm down to 8.
Kill you.
I have a ton of smelling salts. That's what I
Actually, I'm sorry. I have a lacerated shoulder, so
I did surgery on that.
Oh, you did. Oh, so I'm in recovery. Okay.
You've been in
recovery. It's I actually had it written down. 16 days to heal.
Right.
But you don't recuperate when you're traveling. So you suffer that. Did you suffer that in the mountains?
Yes.
And then you made camp for 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Then you began to travel, and then you slept here overnight by making camp. So 2 days recuperation so far.
Okay.
Yeah, just a quick heads up. Anytime you're in the middle of overland travel, you do not recuperate from your injuries because the road is tough. It is perilous. Peril. confused with Merle Snake from Metal Gear. Merle. Anything else anybody wishes to do?
No.
Okay. Well,
could you hand me a tincture? If things go south, I may need it.
Right then.
Little vial, you slip into your lapel or slip into your little pocket on your jacket.
I also hand you a laudanum just in case.
Okay. And while we're headed towards the Dun Motor, I'll take a pinch of snuff as well.
Right.
Do you have your own or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You snort the snuff. Snorts.
I forget what that does, but it does something.
Yeah. So snuff, which can be
talkie related.
Yeah, it is talkie related. You know, talkie.
Fellowship something, I think.
It's snuff said.
It's snuff said. Yeah, so if you recall that with snuff, I need to get to our heal stuff here. I apologize, I don't have it immediately handy.
Snuffleupagus.
But I believe it's on.
I've got it right here.
What page?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
250.
Oh, cool.
You immediately gain a 10% base chance to charm, intimidate, or rumor tests. However, if you suffer from stress, fear, or terror within the next 24 hours, you must use it again or gain 3 conflict.
Charm, intimidate.
But it only works for an hour, so I would wait. But charm, intimidate, rumor.
Okay, I'll wait till we're closer then.
You also can apply tobacco or snuff to your weapon.
What? Sprinkling
Yeah.
off.
Haha! Now you're charming. I stab him. Yeah.
And now that you're stressed out from me stabbing you, you've got 24 hours to do this again.
Or should get more complex. So it's 1 pound.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
Drugs, baby.
Drugs. Say no to drugs.
Okay. With preparations out of the way, you head toward Dunmodra. The march there is slow, but the first thing that you notice on the approach are these remnants of old burnt out wood forts. No telling how long it's been since they were not smoldering, but it's clear that this area has been embattled for generations. Old skeletons of horses that have been slaughtered in the field, the skeletons of the dead, broken weapons, shattered shields, broken arrows, old yew wood bows that have been left unstrung. The dead have been left here to rot beneath the sun of Gwarhov. The field is like a blasted open field, just littered as far as your eye can see with remnants of siege engines, an old burnt out wagon, horse bones piled as high as a hill. It's very clear that this place has been embattled for, as I mentioned before, generations. And moving amid this open ossuary for miles and miles of just death fills you with this incredibly deep sense of dread and foreboding. Everyone needs to succeed a hard resolve test to withstand fear. Goodness.
26. Success.
How you looking, Kay?
I succeeded. The 34.
Nice.
Critical.
Nice. Did you succeed?
I failed.
Oh, the great thing is that although you have not known Chauncey well, Chauncey will be able to lend some of his morale. He'll boost your morale because you crit succeeded this.
Mm-hmm.
You crit succeed to withstand this. You actually withstand horror. You actually managed to help Osbert along. And
Oh,
he
I
will-
failed as well.
Oh. Who will you? Okay, so that's a better question. So whose morale will you boost, Chauncey? Will it be the leader Osbert, or the negotiator Keegan?
The negotiator. Sorry, man.
Oh my God, it's the first time somebody's assisted Keegan. What the?
No. So yeah, so Chauncey, describe for us what Chauncey looks like. If we were to like see Chauncey like enter stage left in the middle of Game of Thrones, what would he look like to other people? Like,
well, hold on. I have to take this off here. I forgot how big. I'm actually just an average size, a little on the stocky side. I am fashionably dressed though. I have innocent blue eyes, and hold on here. My writing is terrible, guys. Very long, wavy red hair. And for some bizarre reason, you've never seen him without blood stains all over his clothes.
his or others?
You know, what's K? What I can't read your
Keegan.
character's name.
Keegan.
Keegan.
Keegan, come with me. This is not going to hurt you. No one's going to hurt you. You're with me. You're with a Redding. Redding who's fought these tribesmen his entire life. We're solid together. The motley fool may lead you down a path of idiocy, but I will not.
What does Chauncey carry? Like, how is he?
He carries a long rifle, a Zweihander, and is it a pistol? No, a razor.
All right. Stiletto. Oh, we call it a Pictus razor. A Pictus razor, which is basically a throwing axe.
Right.
Similar to what Anshka carries.
And I'll kind of pull it out. See this? I took this up with one of their chief warriors. This will be what I give them. This is what I give them back.
Not at first. At least let me try to talk to them before you decide to give back things.
Everybody will have to give something. Make sure your choice is something that means something to you or to them.
An intriguing concept as you're passing by the bones of the dead. Chauncey has certainly fought these picks for many, many years of his life, and those stories are known to the Reddings. Perhaps even in the smaller moments, Keegan, when the Reddings are simply sharing casual stories of their family, as they ought to do around the fire, you've probably heard of Chauncey. He is in some ways legendary, or legend, wait for it, dairy, in their family stories. But he seems to be every bit of the legend that was told before you. He does not flinch in the face of this, and perhaps in him being there, of course, you kind of bolsters your morale. But he would know the picks best, and perhaps everybody else around the group also hears him say this. What did you say about what must be given?
Something that means something to you, something that will mean something to them. I will give back the Pictish razor.
Anshka kind of nods as if perhaps Chauncey has knowledge of the picks that only she would have. Rituals, whatever, cultural values.
Should mean something, no matter what. And you may think you can fool them, but you won't.
As you emerge around this, the remnants of what looks like, yeah,
just not that. I can't. Obviously.
you kind of round the remnants of this huge siege engine that has been graffitied in Eridane, coincidentally, in Old Ald, I should say, and it says "The Inglorious Bastard" up on the side of the siege engine. And as you come round the way, a massive wooden fortification that runs the entirety of the hill up this switchback, back and forth, lined with a gravel road and broken rock. And a village has been decimated, completely pounded with stone and arrow and war. Not a soul to be seen, save for these buzzards kind of careening overhead, as if something has died recently. The smell is apparent in the air. You can see a few fires smoldering in the castle keep that looms over it, threatening to collapse beneath flames. Flames that have been dying in likely the rain that welcomed you when you first came down from the mountainside. Dun Modra has been besieged.
This is interesting.
This is not what I was expecting.
Can we tell by whom? And can we look at the arms and armor, see if we find any signs or sigils or banners?
Yeah, so you begin to wander the fields looking for dead soldiers of the Eridane, but you spy no broken plate armor, no shattered shields with the symbols of houses painted upon it. The siege engine you saw before has been here probably for a very long time. Without actually going into the city, it's hard to really say, for there appears to be no banners burning in the field. In fact, there are no horse droppings, there are no campfire remnants, there are no staked up tents. It's like there was no one on the outside to make this happen. There's nobody on the outside of the city to besiege it.
Can we see the buildings at all from here?
Yeah, you can see the what would serve as the city, which is nothing more than a rough township surrounding the foot of this huge mesa. You're probably a good 200 or so yards out still at this point, but yeah, you can see into it. You can see it from here.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke.
Do the buildings look densely, like put together?
Yes, it's very clear that generation after generation of the Pictish folk have built up on top of buildings, have built on top of buildings, built on top of buildings. In fact, you find that a lot of these homes are not one-story wattle and daub affairs as you would expect to see, say, in Dalriada near Stonehold, but instead they appear to be these teetering towers, these layer cakes of wood and stone and clay that have been built up the side of the mesa. And you can see all manner of like thick timber and frameworks and ropes and pulleys that would be used to ascend or descend from the mesa at various points within Dun Modra.
We see no sentries at this point.
No one. You see no one in the fields around, no people in the city from here. You don't hear the sound of horses. You don't hear the sound of, the thing you could hear is the sounds of the carrion birds overhead. And that's when you see like one of the eagles kite and what's the name of the other eagle? Your eagle, Collinsworth?
Susie,
yeah.
Kite and Susie, these two snow-crowned eagles, snatch these huge buzzards out of the air and they bring them to the ground and start tearing apart their flesh. It's easy pickings for these snow-capped eagles.
Oh, well, I don't necessarily have to worry about feeding Susie Durkins anytime soon.
We saw the fires last night. I'm not wrong, right? Everyone saw the fires.
I really wasn't paying attention.
Fires
But
in the city. That's why we didn't go. There was so many fires.
perhaps it burned from the inside.
Let's not question it.
Do we believe there's a civil war?
Okay, let's just keep moving.
Okay.
All right, so thing.
Will you head into the city?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was already the plan.
Curiously, you don't hear the rumbling from the night before. You don't feel it beneath foot. And the bits of broken cobbled rock and gravel beneath your feet, the chippings of shale and the mesa that's been pulverized and turned into these earthen roads that wind its way through this settlement of chaotic nature. The way that the buildings join a junk with these strange bits of timber crisscrossing over one another, looking more like the skeleton of some great beast that maybe used to be here. But instead, it is the village itself. It's been so constructed in a haphazard, lazy way. You make your way through, and there's no one to be found. The gates of Dun Moder are completely open.
Well, at least these gates will be easier to pass than the previous ones.
Yes, but what did this? Who did this?
I don't care.
Yes, we may not care. We may run into it.
We've been lucky thus far. We're destined to get this done. Fate is on our side.
Destiny and fate is full-hearted.
I've trusted it thus far, and look at where it's got me as I spread my arms, circling around, motioning to everything around me.
Yes, you are mad.
I won't argue with you there.
Well, I'll follow your lead.
Tracketh, what has happened? Do you know?
She's wide-eyed as all of you are.
Okay, if I see her looking that way, then
Yeah,
I won't even ask. Then I'll just. What's the best way to get to the city?
She points through the gates.
Onward and upward, then.
The Jarl of the Pectish will be beyond those gates. If his thanes were still alive, we have met them by now with axe and shield.
Yes.
She seems bewildered by all of this. Her husband, Dane, is completely, it looks like he's been flat-footed. He's not even sure what to make of this. He's very, very nervous. Abigail is looking about with intense curiosity.
Egan sighs and starts taking off some of his fancier clothes he wears to try to look nice for negotiations, and then he pulls out his sling and he loads it. And sighs again.
Yeah, we'd be ready for anything. Even if there's people left, it might just be the worst type.
The moonstruck Belligane that affected this world in many ways. Perhaps it affected it up here too. We're all in the end times. Perhaps it affected them more than down south. It's hard to say.
I don't know if we should be. I mean, I see Keegan's point, but I'm not sure if we should be wandering with weapons drawn just because, well.
I think anyone seeing such sights as we see now would be on their guard. Perhaps they would hold it against us.
Something strikes me as the type that they'll hold everything against us.
Well, drawing weapons won't make any difference then.
Ah, yeah, fair point. And well made.
All right. So,
Final preparations you wish to make before walking through the gates? No? No? Okay. All right. You begin your procession in beyond the gates of Dun Modra, where perhaps no Eridane man or woman has stepped in God knows how long.
Is it thousands at this point?
No, if you from the old stories, you knew that when the Eridane came from beyond the Andals Bridge, when they came from a place called the First Shore, they had to fight their way through Gwarhoth. The first place they came to, what would be dubbed as the Andals Bridge, when the great General Andal was killed by one of the Pictish kings. Um, and they fought their way south through Gwarhoth until coming to the pass through the Horn Society. You may be the very first Eridane to step foot in here, for all you know. You proceed beyond the gates, and you head into this open bailey, for lack of a better term, and you see no one, no bodies, no remnants of people being here. It's clear that tasks have been abandoned. It's clear that people were here at some point, but you don't see any bodies. But what you can see is the remnants of these metal sconces at the top of the walls that are smoldering with the morning light. Clearly, they were lit the night before. The fires you saw along the wall to the exterior of this gate, and then you come into this equivalent of a large vaulted open wooden hall. And the center of the hall is exposed to the sky. You can see the light of morning kind of pouring down over it. And in the midst of it is this long pit where a fire would burn. Around it, tables, chairs, the trappings of what would be you imagine the hall of a Jarl. If you were to read the Penny Dreadfuls in the South, it would resemble that.
It's also sudden. Seems like it just happened overnight. If I had to guess.
Anyone else besides myself feeling a bit like our entry into Stonehold?
You know, I didn't think of it until now.
Magic, I'd imagine. That's the only thing that I could explain.
I mean, we thought there were people that inhabited it, but it happened to be, as I look over to Abigail, just one person. Who knows how many remain here?
Wouldn't be the first lot of ghosts we chased off.
Exactly.
Well, but we're not intending to chase off anyone.
Be prepared for scavengers.
Make our way through them.
The worst type.
As you begin to come further within, almost immediately, Calvin, you feel these pinpricks in the back of the insides of your hands. Something dark dwells within here that is literally just seething with sorcery or magic.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna. If you were done describing, I was gonna relay that information to everyone else. Like, there's a disturbance in the force. I sense great evil. Something foul and afoot has happened here. We should definitely be wary. Something's not right.
As you walk into this hall with Calvin's warning, that's when you see the source, Calvin, almost immediately. Beyond the fire pit that is not burned for some number of days, and where the throne, so to speak, of the Jarl would be, you see what at first appears to be some sort of strange shape resting inside of the wooden or the stone throne. But from the ceiling, you can see these thick vines with these broad leaves of trees that would not grow anywhere near here. And they all seem to dangle like a dense jungle and adjoin the throne, where upon it you can see what best would be described as a man. But his skin is gnarled like the bark of trees. A Around his neck, he wears a single bronze torque and is completely nude, save for leaves that are strategically placed around private parts, I suppose you could say.
Naughty bits.
Yeah, is not literally
Naughty bits.
KNOTTY bits. It's clear that, yeah, and it's naughty bits too.
So it's not safe for work.
KNOT safe for work, that's right. And upon your approach, you see that the branches seem to almost part as this person kind of almost spills forward up on hands and knees and lifts himself up off the ground. And his flesh turns pink and is covered head to toe in tattoos. Not a spot of skin can be seen without some strange runic symbol, concentric circles, odd geometry upon his arms as he comes forward. And this person, Calvin, is just literally seething with deep, powerful magic.
So this was the person who was covered in wood, and now
That's right.
So being covered in wood, it was all for naught.
That's 4. He's keeping count. So it's clear that we're about to enter a social intrigue event at this point. We need to. With that being said, let's take a pause. Let's talk about what social interaction looks like in Flames of Freedom, our first big social interaction situation. So first off, let's take stock of who's going to participate. Who wants to be involved in this interaction?
I will.
I was told as a ready to keep my mouth shut. So
Same.
Okay. Different.
That doesn't mean you can jump. You can't jump in.
You can still
anyway.
Just don't say your last name.
Ah, yes. Well, then
I mean,
I will join.
because I can see Calvin like kind of being spooked by the situation, like not really paying attention to the words that are being spoken, but trying to like pay attention to the magic that's in the room. Like that's kind of his focus. I don't know if that means I'm included in the social intrigue or not. What do you guys think?
Hey, what do you all think?
I mean, you could
It's
observe
up to you.
people speak, right?
It's up to you.
I mean, you could use folklore, right, to do what you're talking about. Would that be?
I mean, because incantation is not a social intrigue
Right.
item, right?
No.
And that's essentially what I'd be using to try to figure out what's going on here. So I would say while you guys are talking, like Calvin is mumbling to himself as he's trying to figure out what's going on here.
Okay, fair enough. So it sounds like Collinsworth, Keegan, Chauncey, and Osbert will participate. So Collinsworth, Keegan, Chauncey, Osbert. Okay, so now that we kind of know who's going to be part of the interaction, we need to determine what do you intend to gain here. This is all above board, and Mike, you can participate in this part, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what do you all intend to gain here?
Passage through.
Yeah.
Safe passage.
I want to learn what this guy's name is because I'm curious if it's Spike.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious as to just what happened.
Yeah. I mean, to figure out kind of what's happened here. I mean, our ultimate goal is to get through, right, to the Andelsbrig to find Otrig, right?
So, information about Otrig.
Yeah, I guess information about Otrig, yeah.
I mean, that's truly what we need, right?
Because theoretically, Otrig would have come through here, right?
He would have had to.
I think secondary is what the hell happened.
I mean, yeah. Now,
you said we don't care about that, so.
I mean, it's for curiosity's sake, maybe, but like, is it really relevant to our goals?
No, it's not relevant. No, it's just that Collinsworth is curious.
But if there's a threat that could be threatening us later on because of what happened here, it'd be nice to know.
That's a good point. Nah, we'll worry about that bridge.
Right?
Yeah. We'll worry about that handle when we cross it.
That's the way I do.
That's the way you do, but you're not the only participant.
Right.
Just to be clear.
Right. I know.
I mean, yeah.
That's why I'm trying to convince everyone.
I think, yeah, we need to stick to, you know, just because of the meme, the quest we're on.
Yeah.
Let's quest.
Let's quest.
I mean, but
Yeah, we need to figure that out. But yeah, what happened here? And do we need to worry about this at Stonehold? Do we need to worry about this? Yeah, I mean, seriously, I think Keegan's got the best point. Will this
come to bite us?
Yeah. Is this future scape here we're looking at, or?
Also, I'd like to know if this matches what Chauncey was held up in. This tree plant thing that this guy's wrapped up in seems similar to what Chauncey was in.
Yeah. Good.
That makes sense. Sure. Yeah. You've convinced me. We need to know of this danger.
I mean, do as you wish. It's just parallels, you know.
Is there anything else that you want to gain in the midst of this conversation with this mysterious individual?
Not death. I mean,
Not death.
I think that's
Cake.
pretty simple.
That's pretty implicit with
Pretty
pretty much
simple.
any
Not death.
negotiation.
Oh, there's far worse things, though. Actually, it brings us a good point. Like, what's at risk? What's at stake?
Death.
Death. Yeah, it's
Death is easy, though.
Oh,
What is at stake?
that we can't get through.
lots of death.
They don't prevent us. This creature doesn't prevent us from moving forward.
Mhm.
This man that was a tree that is back to being a man.
They could attack Stonehold.
Yes.
He could give us false information
Mhm.
that would lead us astray.
They could find out Otrig is actually worth something and so use him in some way.
And could they find out
Or-
Princess Buttercup?
As you wish.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. You could find out about
Because I don't know what Princess Buttercup's name actually is, but
Abigail.
In chains.
Abigail.
No longer in chains.
Yeah, she used to be Abigail in Dungeon for a little while.
Hmm.
so Abigail, the one that's in the plate armor.
Abigail plate armor.
I am now finally putting those two people together as the same.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Abigail being the princess and Abigail being the one in the chain.
Yeah. But when he first introduced us to her, he called her Abigail in Chains, and we thought that was her name for quite a while.
Yep.
It's a soup stained prophet all over again.
Yeah.
Yep. Soup
Stained
stained
prophet.
prophet.
Yeah. And many references came out, like referencing an angry chair.
Yeah.
She was the one in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, she also stole everything from you all the night that you met her at Stone.
Yes, she did.
She managed to escape you for God's 20-something sessions.
Hmm.
Carrying like all the meat, the plate armor, and somehow still managed to outrun us.
Yeah.
She's a tricky. She's a slippy one.
You all failed your chase scene, if you
Mhm.
recall.
Mm-hmm.
They're chasing her over leagues and just never could catch up with her and got stuck in a cave and almost consumed by a mountain lion. And it snowed him in. Yeah.
You took 4 left turns.
Let's be clear.
Yep.
What she achieved was not like a feat of legendary acclaim. It was a terrible sequence of rolls that resulted in losing her trail.
Sequence of monumental fuck ups is what you're saying.
You spent all your coins.
Yep.
So, what else is at stake here to get back on track? Like, what's at stake beyond death?
And the princess that Otrig is that we know Otrig's value, that we give away the value, and then he just doesn't let us through, and we have to resort to violence, which is probably not going to go well for us.
He could find out we're Reddings.
That could be also. I don't. As far as I know, the druids don't hate us, but you know,
I think there's some.
I don't know what you guys have done up here.
I think there's some mystery, things at stake too that we can't even anticipate, just because we know nothing about what this thing is.
Right. Or what happened, or if it caused it.
Mm-hmm.
He could be really mad that we killed his brother, the dude with the birds.
So we should be really careful about what we say, because it may give away something that we don't intend to.
So you think you need to kind of guard your goals then?
I think we need to guard superfluous information to the situation at hand, like last names and stuff like that. Even more so than before what we thought.
My name is Sword.
My name is Brian.
My name is Brian.
This is Dave.
This is Dave, and that's Roger over there,
Roger.
and we're all good. We're just moseying through.
Just moseying through.
And this douchebag's name is Braden.
Yeah.
My name is Jesse. What's your last name? Fire Eyes?
Fire.
Right.
Justice nevermore. Jesse, Fire Eyes, and Zyle. That's okay, so if there's nothing else that you feel is at stake, starting first with Collinsworth, what social tactic do you think you'll use to achieve all of these goals? Will you use bargain, charm, guile, interrogation, intimidate, leadership, or rumor?
I think Collinsworth is mainly going to hold back until it comes to things that we may not want to talk about. Like, for instance, what's that guy doing, with Calvin mumbling to himself, or, if he is like, tell me about yourself, and he's trying to figure out our surnames or whatnot, he will try and like deflect some of the conversation using guile.
Nice. That's probably smart. I like that approach. It's a good justification, by the way. So we move next to Keegan.
So
what
the
social
first
tactic do you think will work best in this situation to achieve your goals?
probably not best, but it's what Keegan's best at. So he's going to try to be charming, because we came in stating that we were going to be truthful to these people and try to work out a truce with them. And Keegan didn't get the note that that's not where we're going so much anymore, maybe. So charm.
Okay. So Chauncey, we move next to you. So remember, with your social tactics, you can choose bargain, charm, guile, interrogation, intimidate, leadership, or rumor.
You can't use warfare in replace of leadership anymore. Okay. Then I will do leadership.
Leadership. Okay. How do you think that will contribute to this conversation when you choose a social tactic? Just to help me understand like what you're trying, how you're going to achieve this.
I think intimidate would be a terrible idea since we don't know exactly what this person is. Mm-hmm. So I think trying to understand what has happened here, and trying to get us through to our next stage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and I don't know how to even use leadership in this area. So
guide the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I mean,
lead by being a problem solver.
Sure. Yeah, we can come back to you. Let's move to Osborne. We'll come back to Chauncey in a moment.
I think Osborne's going to use bargain. He's going to kind of stick to his tack and say that, he's going to assume that whatever this entity is not wanting war. I mean, it looked like it was trapped. And perhaps these druids are going to come in here and pass through and do harm to it. So, continuing to let us pass through so we can resolve this conflict.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think, Chauncey? We're back to you.
Shitballs. I haven't had to think like this in a long time, guys.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since Tim's played.
It really has.
You can back up everybody and ensure that none of us are in over our head.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing so far. I'll reinforce everybody as needed.
With leadership?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Thank you, Kay.
here's the rub. I got bad news. You're in a very bad situation, and you don't share the same allegiances that this person does. So starting with Collinsworth, I need an arduous guile test.
Okay, arduous will be 32. And a 12 will succeed.
Nice. Okay, that's good. Wow. Okay, so let's move next to Keegan. Keegan, I'm going to need an arduous charm test from you.
Okay, so I have Silver Tongue. I assume he's a different social class than myself.
Yes.
Okay, so that gives me a plus 20 to my charm. And then I also have Meeting of the Minds, which gives me a plus 10 when I am attempting to bring a compromise between two extremes.
Oh, yeah. Stack those bonuses.
So that puts me at plus 30.
Standard. Yeah. Treat as standard.
And then I was told to walk in and do this. So as I am told, I will take an extra assist die.
Nice. Be sure to take your
Corruption.
six conflict.
Is it
your
6?
system. Sorry, 3. My apologies.
I was
3.
going to say, wait, hold up.
Yeah. Like
That got a lot more expensive. Okay.
assist die monster. He can contribute 3 assist dice to skill test. He does it right.
Okay. So that puts me at a 60.
It's true. Extra die.
If I was drunk, this would actually be a 70% chance, but I'm not. So we're going to go with 60.
All right.
Okay. So my first roll is a 55.
Crit success.
Which is a crit success. I don't think I need to roll again.
You do, because you need to roll all your dice and assume the worst. And if you have a crit failure, crit success, they wipe each other out, and you go to your next die type.
Well, it'd be 2 10s though, wouldn't it?
What's that?
Right. So
Assist
she
die would
couldn't
be 2 10s. I can't
critical
get a critical
fail at that point. Because
Right?
But go ahead and roll anyway.
Yeah, roll it.
she could only fail.
Yeah.
A 1 and a 3. So
Yes.
I'll keep the 55.
Nice. Nice. So basically that means instead of the disposition, which I know it is behind the scenes, is actually treated as the best disposition, which is great. Okay. That brings us next to Chauncey. Chauncey, you're going to make an arduous leadership test.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Sure.
I got a 15% chance.
I can't assist anybody, right?
Who's got
No.
coins?
I'm in the conversation myself.
You got coins if you need to re-roll, remember.
Yeah.
With a 15% chance? I mean, it's,
True.
my chances. I feel. I'm
Okay.
just gonna go.
You just gotta take the normal
the
failure,
fail and
not the
no,
critical
no,
failure.
Critical failure, so I don't wipe out all these good successes.
Yeah.
So finally, that brings us to Osbert. Osbert, I need an arduous bargain test.
So Osbert has people person, which says you can influence any number of people who can see and hear you clearly with fellowship-based skill tests. Ignore any penalties to said tests due to differences in allegiances.
Nice. So you'll have the same allegiance. So instead, it is a challenging skill test instead.
I also have foolish endeavors. Whenever you rush into a situation without proper planning, you gain +10 to succeed at skill tests during that situation.
Nice.
However, for every failed skill test, you suffer stress.
Nice. That's right. Foolish endeavors is your affliction, right?
Yes, that's a affliction.
Ooh.
See what is challenge? You said it was challenging.
That's right. Be sure to gain your 3 conflict for taking advantage of your foolish endeavors. Afflictions are what disorders became in flames of freedom. It's a trauma, but also has a source of strength from it, so you kind of buttress yourself against the.
Oh yeah, I probably should have read what As I'm Told is so that you know.
Yeah, you want to read it aloud real quick before you
Sure.
roll?
You gain an assist die whenever you are told what to do by another in character. However, you cannot take advantage of coins to fulfill your own self-interest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he can never use coins to help himself.
Only to help others.
Only to help others, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keegan's kind of a martyr.
He is has a martyr complex and is a buff monster, by the way. Skill buffer. Okay, so go ahead and roll, Osbert,
So
for your.
my chance is 45, and then it goes up to 55 with the foolish endeavors, and
Nice.
then back down to 45 with challenging.
Cool.
You have the stuff too. We're gonna
And I have the snuff, yeah.
That's right.
That gives me
55.
so 55. Wow, that's
Nice.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna re-roll.
Okay, I'll take that coin. Thank you.
$100%.
Nice.
It is what they call in Blackbirds a sublime failure when you roll double zeros or 0 1. 0 1's sublime success. It's a sublime failure.
I looked at him with my bad eye.
Oh man. Yeah, so it's not only is it bad, you also suffer peril as a result. And I'm probably gonna roll high like I always do. 13 peril.
Right.
It's not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, not as bad as it was. If I'm not mistaken, Keegan, you crit succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about a crit success on a social tactics check is it actually moves 1 coin back into the player pool. So, you gained really bad stuff. Disgusting. Okay. So now that I have secretly recorded a series of attitudes that this person will employ during the interaction.
So I also feel stressed from feeling with the foolish endeavor.
Oh, you sure do.
Yeah,
It says 3 conflict.
Give me some more.
Give me some more.
Oh, 10 stress. 10 peril and 3 conflict.
Please,
Okay.
give me some more.
Hey, give me some more. Oh, go.
Yeah.
I hate to throw on top of that, but snuff, remember if you suffer from stress, you have to take it again. Otherwise, there's a side
I'll take it
effect.
again.
Yeah, so another 3 conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3 or just 1?
3.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, 1. My apologies.
I would say it's 1 for taking
No.
Could we take just like 2 to 3 minutes of a break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break here, and we will resume. For our listeners and viewers, we'll be back in just 1 second.
All right.
So we turn toward back into this clearly besieged castle keep, Dun Modra. Knowing you may be very well the first Eridain people that ever stepped foot in here in history. And this figure kind of rises from the vines and trees that kind of encased him as he steps away from the throne, and he walks toward you, covered head to toe in geometric tattoos, the likes of which you've never seen. They don't seem to be runic, they just seem to be geometric, like these circles upon circles upon circles upon circles, squares upon squares upon, almost like if you imagine like a very polyhedral kind of looking tattoos that interlink all over his body, save for his face. And he has this very alien look to him. These eyes are set just a little bit too far apart. His face is just a little bit too narrow. These ears that are just kind of sharp upon their ends, or upon the tips of them. And his hair is very sparse, and it's the color of filigree in armor, the color of silver, like just silver. And it seems to hang up on his shoulders, but he's otherwise hairless. What do you say? All eyes on Keegan.
Yeah, I was like, Keegan, you're the
negotiator.
So Keegan looks back and forth between everybody for a moment because this is not what he was expecting, but just nods, and he steps forward for a moment, and he looks at the man ahead of him, and who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
He does not move his lips, but all of you can hear the voice of 9 people. You hear the voice inside your head, and and although his lips do not move, you hear from this strange individual. He says, "We are called Ankiel of the 9." You can hear immediately Anshka whispers the word Siabra.
That's what I was thinking too.
Like almost like a hiss from her lips. But the Siabran before you does not seem to move theirs.
And
So we heard these words in Ald?
You heard them in whatever language is native to you.
Okay.
So if Ald is your native tongue, you'd hear it in that. You imagine like if you were Anjka in this case, you would hear it in Pictish. Or if you were Dane, you would hear it in Dunish. Or sorry, if you were, my apologies. If you're Dane, you'd hear Ald as well, because he's Ald. But if you're Abigail, you'd hear it in Dunish. So yes.
And the state of this place that we see before us, would that have been your doing?
It is of our doing. You hear the cacophony say. You now know that this one is referred to as a keel.
Oh.
Kheel.
And keel or
And keel.
and keel. Okay.
Yeah.
And keel.
Well, as one might guess, this is not necessarily our place of residence, so might I ask what encouraged this particular behavior?
The Thanes of Dun Modra have violated the Broodwidian. We have come to exact our revenge, is what the words seem to translate roughly to. Although when you hear the word revenge, it's almost like static on a radio. The word doesn't quite make sense to you. But the best way for you to interpret it is revenge. The words are very strange. It don't even sound like words at all. They're what we may imagine as like the sound of wavelength.
They broke the what?
Ankiel repeats, they broke the Broodwidian, the path of dreaming.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure I understand what that is.
What's that? I'm sorry, Collinsworth?
I'm not sure I understand what that is.
The treaty of the Druids has been broken. Ankiel and the others say in your heads. The lips of this person still not moving, but you can hear the shaking and shambling of trees as if wind was in here. Like you hear like the soft movement of wind among the branches. You can hear that sound within this chamber. It's otherworldly.
So the druids and the folk are at war.
Spite has crossed the river.
And they're still known worldwide, known as the folk, right? Or is that still?
It's one of the words that are used for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The folk is the colloquial term of the Dunish.
Yeah, that too. But
yeah, Dunman is the pejorative term.
Yeah.
Like people who live in the hills.
Did they pass the bridge?
The Siabran Ankiel nods his head, and then they say, Spite has crossed the river. Spite has crossed the Andals Bridge. This is the last stand.
Wow.
Seems like we're in luck. We're in pursuit of Spite.
The Siabran's eyes kind of pass among you, and then they hone in on Calvin. And as he looks toward Calvin, you hear words in your head that say, "You are not a druid, but you practice our ways."
So it's been quite a lovely trip out here, except for all that fire. It reminds me of a time when I was back at home, as I start, going into and trying to, move his attention back away. There was this lovely person named Andriel, and just we had some food out on the river, and the roast mutton. It was just so nice. As I start really just trying to gain their attention.
Yeah. It's clear that the Siabran is nodding to be polite. Like it's clear that he is, or they are, I should say, they are trying to listen to your story, but they keep getting distracted by Calvin's presence. You can see it, Collinsworth, even though you're standing in front of your brother. The Siabran's dead eyes are looking directly almost through Calvin, these pupilless silver globes that would serve as the Seabran's eyes.
I'll keep trying, until someone else is ready. I'll keep trying to do that. Kind of like even though I'm not very good at doing it, I'm kind of like James Spader in The Blacklist, where somebody's trying to do something and he'll keep interrupting them. And yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, all right, you mentioned that Spite has now crossed. So what are your plans to do with this information? Are you going to go after him? Assist him? I don't quite understand.
We have brought his soldiers to their knees. And as he says this, you suspect, or this now kind of connects the dots. Like it's clear that the spite is Pictish, yes, and that Ankiel has brought the soldiers to their knees.
So he went across the bridge. This is who we are searching for. This man is our past the line.
The Ankiel nods and says, Spite seeks to control all of Dunbrood. And when he says the word Dunbrood, like this is not a term you've heard in a very long time. Dunbrood is an old Dunish term that means the eastern country of Dalriada, where Stonehold is, and the western country of Hivernia once were one country. And it was called Dunbrood. It was once called the Twin Emerald Kingdoms. The old flags had two stallions rising on either side of the standard. It's the image that immediately comes to all your minds, almost as if he says these words, they form a pictograph of immediate memory within your head.
How does he intend to
dream speaking that Ankiel is using?
And how does he intend to do that?
He seeks to unify with sorry, 1 second. I gotta find something real quick. Oh my god, I'm missing it. Wow. I'm going real deep here, y'all. Forgive me. I'm almost there. I promise. What is the name of the Seabran witch at
Salamander?
Yeah, so that's right. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry. He sings to bring unity with Salamandra to control the west and the east through the bloodline.
We've already weakened Salamandra. We've attacked her forces, and we intend to bring her down in due time.
Salamandra is for, Ankiel says. You hear the cacophony of 9 in your head.
Or what?
They are for, she says, so perhaps she's expecting you to understand it.
And
if I remember right, she had 3 sisters. We took 3 of them out.
Ankiel seems struck by this knowledge, like as if perhaps Ankiel did not know this.
We burnt them. They're dead.
Was that the 4 you meant?
Ankiel kind of pauses for a moment. You could see this almost human-like pensive look wash across his face. And the cacophony says, if you have brought the 3 sisters low, then only Salamandra remains and is weak. Salamandra has many great forces in Sundown Hill.
So is she only one now?
Ankiel.
All right, well...
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we obviously can go after Salamandra, but at this time we're closer to Spite, and there's something we need across the bridge as well.
Ankiel pauses. There is a great war. The Druids have been riven for centuries between those to the east of the Horned Society and those of the west. Spite is now many, Ankiel says. We don't know how many, but spite is many. We are but 9. The circle of Cavendish has sought the bloodline of the king of old. The only way to stop this oncoming war is to bring the countries back together, to bring the union forth. You seek spite, but I don't think that you understand that spite is now many. There is not one, but all. The word all doesn't really make a lot of sense to you when Ankiel or when they say it in your mind.
How many is all unknown? You were 9. Is it 20? 30?
Ankiel has the strength of the Andals beyond the bridge.
Andals beyond the bridge. There's still Andals beyond the bridge?
Ankiel not.
Oscar shrugs. I don't know. What are you looking at me for?
I was more looking around than anything. I didn't know there was Andals this far north. Is that why the Picts won't cross the bridge still?
Ankiel nods.
And that's why the peace has been broken.
Ankiel nods once again.
Keegan. Passing the ball. I don't know what to say.
This is why Otrick passed through, I imagine, to stop him. Did you see another druid come this way?
The old man of the woods.
Yes.
We have seen the Willow Walker. We have seen him in the Broodwidian. We have seen him in the path of dreaming. But we have not seen him, he says, motioning with his hand to his face and motioning outward as if, and what Keegan you'd immediately interpret as, we have not seen him here in the physical world.
Mm.
But when he says the word Broodwidian in the path of dreaming, it just seems to echo something dark and sorcerous that none of you have any inclination to understand, save for perhaps Calvin.
Right.
You couldn't say where he is, in particular.
Ankiel shakes his head and they say no.
Would the entity known as Spite be after him at this point?
There is a pause. Spite has already left Guarhoth.
He's back in the kingdoms?
Ankiel shakes his head, but they say they have went to Sundown Hill.
Mm. If we needed to pass through here and actually go, say, across the bridge, would you allow us that passage? Or would we also be brought to our knees, much like those surrounding us?
You are not of Pictish blood. You may pass freely in this world. It is the gift that it is the one gift that your makers have given you. It is something that we cannot do. We are bound by the rivers and the rock.
I understand, but spirits binding and everything doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't attempt to stop us. That's what I'm asking.
Ankiel kind of narrows his eyes quizzically, and then they say, there is no reason for me to stand in your way. But if you seek to pass beyond the Andals Bridge to find Spite, you will find nothing but darkness. He has abandoned his old home, and he has moved west.
We need to find Otrick.
They seek the old blood of Cavendish. It is how they will unify the kingdoms, but it will be in darkness and not in light.
Right then. Cavendish, you say?
Ankiel nods his head. They say yes.
Right.
Abigail kind of takes 2 steps backwards at this point. Perhaps Osbert's words have stuck with you all, but this is where the stakes are at. Let's not slip.
You know, there was flour everywhere, as far as the eye could see. It was quite fascinating. Everything looked as if it was, faded and not of this world. Keep going.
Not going to
Uh,
Should we move?
and it seems that we're of a parallel sort of goal here, at least somewhat. So could you tell me, is there anything else we need to know if we were to, say, try to go to Sundown Hill? You seem to be able to see better than we can.
Ankiel kind of opens his eyes wide and he kind of mouths words that are in broken Ald. And this is not in your heads, but instead these are true words. And he says that, he says aloud in broken Ald, of course, Spite seeks to take the descendant of the Cavendish and turn her into the vessel of the Druids beyond the river. Not the Cavendish as we, he says, but the others.
Right.
What is this vessel? What does this mean?
Osbert gives you a look, trying to say, like, don't give them too much information.
Right. Yeah, I was the one that told you guys that.
Ankiel says there is only one living descendant of the Cavendish bloodline of the kings of old. They entreat to place her upon the throne and unify the West and the East, he reports, but it will not be in light, it will be in shadow.
So then the best thing for us to do is not allow them to get to this person.
Ankiel says, you know where the blood of Cavendish is? He takes a couple steps forward.
I would assume we'd have to find them. That would be the next step, yes.
Calvin, you get a really bad feeling when Ankiel steps forward.
Hmm.
If the thing they want is this one person that they're supposed to be elevating, then if we find that one person, we can stop that from happening, I would assume. Or at least that would be the best way to stop them, wouldn't you agree?
Ankiel, his lips no longer move, but the voice of them kind of erupt in your head once again. Providing that you knew where the bloodline of Cavendish was.
Well, as I stated, that seems to be the next thing then. I assume you came to the same conclusion.
We did, Ankiel, or they say.
We must find it.
Otrig
We must return.
Find Otrig and return
Yes.
to Sundown Hill.
Yes.
But that's where he's went.
Or who went? Spite?
Yes.
Yes.
Fortifications worthy enough? I'll look around because we see what 9 did. If he is MIDI. I can't imagine.
Well, I don't know how you feel, Ankiel, but to put it frankly, if you have to stop a plan, it's always best to either stop it at where it starts or where it's going to end, right? Maybe best if you take a shot at where it's going to end, since you don't know where this one's supposed or where it's going to start, since you're not entirely sure where the ending is.
The Bruduidian forbids us from crossing the lake and the river near Sundown Hill.
Ah. But he has already crossed them.
Cauldron Lake is forbidden to us.
And I suppose perhaps we go to the start. And Keegan just looks at everybody, still, he's trying to make sure that he does not look at, Abigail at all, as though she's not core because she hasn't been talking anyway.
We are not at cross purposes, they say. I find it strange that you would come here looking for the renegade Otrig. What need would you have of him?
We traffic in the ways of the druids. We don't have any among our numbers that can guide us. Druid Otrig is, from what we understand, quite wise in these ways. Figured we could use his counsel.
The whole room seems to smell deeply. The trees shamble, and this loud smelling as if the building itself was snorting. You can hear you've the smell of stonehold upon you. The smell of the dead.
You've got the right of it. That's where I hang my hat.
You and many others have done so, they say. Fleeting is the crown of Stonehold.
How is Spite allowed to break?
Spite has found a way outside the Bruduidian. He tried to swim against the current, which is not possible for any of our kind. Instead, he found a way to ford it altogether. The path of dreaming only goes one way. He has found a way to cross it. He has cheated it, Ankiel says.
And that is why you've wrought this upon his people.
Ankiel nods and they say yes. The voices in your head, I should say yes.
That is why we seek Otrig. We need to understand how he's doing this.
The passage beyond Andel's Bridge is open to you. If you think that you will find him beyond there.
That's where we're told he's ventured.
Who told you he would venture beyond the bridge? They ask.
I don't remember who told us that.
It was the Nameless. They let us know. This is the way to head.
The Goatman, Ankiel says, which is an old pejorative term for the Gralsteaders in the north.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah. Because they raise goats. The Nameless are known to us. They dwell beyond Sentinel Pine. We have seen them among the trees.
They pointed us this way. Said Otrig had passed this way, or said he was headed this direction.
We would know if he passed through here. You're welcome to go beyond the Andel's Bridge to sate your own curiosity, but you will find that Spite's home has been abandoned. The Black Henge is abandoned. As they search for a word, the one they find is abandoned.
Well, Otrig being a druid, he doesn't really leave a trail to follow like a normal person would. So if there's any information you can give us that could point us in the right direction, as far as we can tell, he's gone beyond that bridge.
You will find the Black Henge no more than one day northeast. But be wary. Even though that Spite has left, the Lucrota still wander the hills.
Lucrota,
sorry. L-E-U-Crota. Lucrota.
Are these the forgotten Andals?
Cursed ones. Men, people cursed to walk upon hands and knees, turned to beasts. They howl in the night.
we've dispatched our share of monsters up here in the north. I reckon we can do it again.
The Lucrota are your people. In a sense, they say.
Don't sound too innocent to me.
They were abandoned by your people. Ankiel, they go on to say. Ankiel's lips do not move.
That is known. Those who were left on the other side of the bridge.
Unkiel nods. They say yes.
I can't believe they're alive.
In
Cursed,
a sense.
but
In a
alive.
sense. But their numbers are few.
And they have given their allegiance to spite.
They have been brought low like animals, despite being anything but chattel. He says, enslaved.
That is no way to live.
Unkiel's eyes turned back toward Keegan.
Keegan he's not entirely sure what to say at this point because it sounds like they need to make an actual choice of some sort. So he kind of is.
It's settled then. We'll pass beyond the bridge, find Otrig, and return.
If you think it best.
That's the only way. We're not going to take out Spite without
Some help.
the man of the woods, Otrig.
Why do you seek to bring Spite low? What do you have? What would bring you to Otrig and to Spite? He inquired, or they inquired.
Well,
Why are the means and the matters of the Druids? How does it impact you in Stonehold?
selfish reasons. If I'm going to be frank, you know, we seek the aid of the nameless, and this is their stipulations that they asked of us that we do before they accompany us to Stonehold.
So you are a common sellsword, he said with contempt and disgust in his lips and his tongue.
No coin is exchanged hands. This is an agreement. This is a pact between peoples.
Collinsworth finally stops trying to, regale him with stories and stuff, and looks directly at him and says, "This is a matter of survival."
It is an alliance. And sometimes for those that we ally with, we help them.
Salamandra is, you might say, upset at us for taking down our sisters. We don't want to go in this with just what we have. We need the nameless to help us as well.
You said you're only 9. Well, we're not much more.
And then what will happen? He seems to ask, or they seem to ask accusingly, what will the Eridane do once they bring Spite and Salamandra low? Will you continue your conquest?
Hopefully we can find some modicum of peace.
I aim to carve out my piece of Stonehold. That's it. Perhaps I'll usher the Green John out at some point, but pretty low on my priority, I'd say.
A peace cannot be attained as long as the Andals are beyond, or the Eridane are beyond the Rukenball. You've already trespassed beyond Aglador, beyond where you were bound. The peace you speak of is a slice of this north, which your people have tried before and have failed. We have brought the people of Stonehold low before.
Is that a threat? You looking to take me out too?
What did Stonehold look like when you came there?
Full of ghosts.
They blink.
We ushered them out too.
I don't care about this war besides the freedom for the people that live there. That's all I'm fighting for. I have no ideas what this man wants. I do not want a slice of the north. I want to be able to return home, and I want to be able to see the martial lords not invade my lands.
Stonehold is beyond Cauldron Lake and the river. What do you care what we do down there? You can't even touch us once we're beyond the Cauldron Lake.
He takes another step forward and he sniffs. I smell desperation. Ankhil says, I smell desperation. Of all the voices, there is but one. You have come to live among ghosts, and you think that will save you from the North's wrath. Despite whatever peace you may attempt to erect with other Eridane in Sentinel Pine, and we have seen their numbers among the birds, the bees, and the insects of the wood. Whatever peace you seek to erect, guard yourself carefully. You're not the only ones in the North watching. You do not have the blood of the hills in you. There's a reason why your people went south. There's a reason why you live in Aglador. Every foray into the North among your people has failed time and time again.
Look at me. I'm not Thane material, but I've taken it. I've pulled what I could from these lands. I'm not supposed to rise to this station. I'm a fool. And I'm just foolish enough to try anyway.
You are blessed and cursed by your mortality. Do not waste your final years upon this endeavor. That will be my only warning to you. Do as you must to find your friend beyond the bridge. Whatever end you mean to have with spite is of mutual benefit. But beyond that, there will be no warning of our coming. The land will take Stonehold back, as it has done time and time again. With that, he recedes back to the throne and is ensconced once again back into the vines and the wood, and the whole room seems to breathe once again as they kind of enrapture him within it and kind of lift him into the air.
I just point out something I'm confused about. Maybe I just don't understand.
It'll be different. It'll be different this time. It's us.
No, not that. But these people that he just killed in this entire city that he completely destroyed, they were of the North, right? So the North doesn't even want the North here. That's what I'm understanding. Right.
They broke the pact.
Okay.
As I said before, this is little of our concern, other than the impending doom he is threatening us with. We'll be prepared for that too.
I'm just confused as to who actually gets to live in this fucking place at this point. That's all.
Yeah.
I think we should leave now.
Yes.
All right.
I think what you said is you may secure Stonehold. What you do, you've made it in.
Any further conversation amongst ourselves, we can have as we walk. Let us leave now.
You know that, Chauncey.
Yes,
let's what I heard from what you and your lot have gone through.
I'm gonna start like
path for you.
Shooing them out of the room.
No, we're already walking. I mean, they let us go. I mean,
Yeah, at this point, you're going to descend.
And I'm saying they, right?
Yeah.
Because it is they.
You're descending down from the castle keep of Dun Modra, completely unmolested. A bit surprised and shocked by what you found, but you continue your conversation.
Nothing is easy. Nothing is easy in the North for sure. As I said, you can hold Stonehold for a time. But he's right. Everyone that's ever taken it has died. Everyone.
People tend to die.
Yes, they do. I will be returning south when this is all done. I've earned that.
I have nothing north or south. So wherever. It's just confusing because it seems like everyone here wants to kill everyone here because they're from somewhere else, but they're actually from here. So it just makes me completely confused as to what the fuck is going on up in this area. That's all.
No, you're right. The Dunmen hate the Dunmen. The Dunmen hate the Nameless. The Dunmen hate the Pictish. The Pictish hate the Dunmen. The Pictish hate the Nameless. The Nameless hate everyone. And the Nameless get picked on by everyone, and the Dunnish get picked on by everyone. It's a.
But if they hate everyone who lives here, why do they even want the property in the first place?
That's why they want this unification, right?
They want to
Right. Because that seems to be working well.
Peace. Everyone keeps talking about.
Peace
That will never happen.
Peace is not going to happen. The thing he said in light versus darkness, or in darkness versus light. I don't know what any of that means.
It's all shadows at this point, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's bad.
Are we on the right side? Dane inquires at all this.
Of course.
Is there a side?
We
Is
haven't
there
crossed the
right?
bridge, so I would say no, not yet.
We aim to stick our thumb in the eye of both sides. There will not be a conjoined country up here. We live in just enough chaos for us to carve out our peace. That's all I want.
Thank you for not telling them about me, Abigail says.
Obviously.
I'd make sure we don't speak about that as long as there are trees around.
What is there to tell about you?
That she is the one that carries the blood, the last of her line. The vessel
Keegan...
that brings this country together.
Keegan stops for a minute and just looks over at Osbert. He doesn't say anything, but he just kind of stares at him like you had to say it out loud.
The druids I've been telling you about, Abigail goes on. Ankiel is one of them. I thought I could find safety in Sundown Hill with my uncle, but it was clear he was not of the right mind. Were it not for you, I never would have escaped those dungeons. And I want nothing to do with no throne or being a vessel or getting mixed up in all this whatnot. But it seems like the path before us is just chaos and death.
Well, hell, maybe you should be going south at this point.
Run and never come back.
It is a might bit warmer.
I say that
You jape, but
you should never run out on your people. There is honor in staying.
You'll always have a place to stonehold.
fleeting as it may be, as Ankiel has said.
No, and
Isn't everything up here fleeting? Am I wrong? Do
Yeah,
things
well.
stay?
The Siabra, nay.
no.
Hmm.
Siabra are, as they say, endless. I don't know what that means,
Yes, well,
but endless.
even though the Siabra are endless, weren't those three said to be Siabra?
Yes. They were.
Which three?
The sisters?
Yes.
Oh,
Salamandras of acolytes.
you can kill Siabra.
Well, it was either them or us.
But they don't age the same as us.
Ah,
Are they-
Our lives are a speck of sand in the hourglass of theirs.
I suppose then in some ways it's good that old age is not the only thing that takes a person out, is it?
No wonder they're so crazy.
Crazy.
A lifetime of hardship is enough to bring down any man or woman.
You speak of crazy. You talk of slicing your piece of the pie out. You sound like a megalomaniac. You sound like every Andal who has came up here with one purpose, hunger.
I'm not here to take the kingdom. I just want my piece. Just this tiny sliver. No, I'm not greedy.
That is greed itself.
I'm not looking for the entire kingdom. Like spite. Like
There are
Salamander.
lands in Rovania that you can have by putting up your own kip. They are yours.
I got a flag. That's all you need is a flag.
I was ousted. I was pushed out of the South. There's no going back for me.
South is large.
There's a look upon all their faces. It is clear they're all of a similar kith and kin, desperate people. Like when he says it almost like casts an umbrella over everyone.
There's nowhere left for me to go. I have to carve out a home somewhere.
Yeah.
And I take the one abandoned place that's left up in north. And they say I can't have that.
So I'm going to tell you this. There's miles and miles and miles of wall that you could take. For you will never be able to take you a year and several years to walk the wall. You have as much land as you wish. You just got to be on the right side of the wall. But your burdens are not mine. I'm helping you because you helped me. It seems my cousins must be in the same ill-fated situation as you.
You know, all my life, I've been told I take after Credence. And, well, we share quite a bit in common. Particularly with what may have caused us to come up north.
Yeah, your lot tried to take residence up in Stonehold. Why are you giving me such a hard time? Same. I think I'm so stupid.
And those ghosts you ran out, those were my lots.
Oh, he says right now, we actually gave peace. Help them rest. Like resolved what was keeping them here.
You know how I like to tell fish tales.
I thank you for that, but again, I don't care. We'll help you in your endeavors, as I said I would. You save me. We'll travel until you have your goal, and I will leave. The Marcher Lords are no more. My tasks of being here are done. Like all Andals that come to the north, I got stuck. And you will get stuck too. And your life will end as poorly as mine was about to. But you are welcome to it.
Well, that being said, we do need to get back to Stonehold so we can get you back to Aglador. So we may as well carry on.
Retirement calls. Let's usher you towards it.
So we will close here for the night as the scene fades to black, and we will continue next week. So 75 reward points for everybody. I want to change direction here slightly just for a moment to talk about the remaining 2 sessions we have, because I'll turn on some lighter music because we just have to. Obviously, we're drawing this campaign to a close. We've got a finite amount of time. The question is, what will we do with this time, these next 2 game sessions? Because there's a lot of ground. There's still a lot of ground to cover. There's still a lot of things to see, a lot of things to do. I tried to just dump kind of some information out there tonight to at least set up some reasoning behind what's happening. The question is, I think, just kind of above board, like, what do you all want to do about it?
What are you guys' goals, the actual goals of this group? Is it to take Stonehold and hold it? And to truly just give yourself a place to live?
That's Osbert's goal. Yeah. I mean, and everyone, as far as I can tell, seems to be aligned with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin made his way up because Collinsworth made his way up, and most importantly, Hobbs made his way up.
Love that.
But
I
mean,
followed the bear.
I followed the bear.
There's your buddy. Got it.
Yeah. Because Calvin wanted to be like a farmer. Like he just wanted to like retreat, be like the old man in the woods, kind of like Otrig. So, but he got corralled into all this, but because of ambitions of his brothers and others.
I think for Osbert, it was, he wanted a place to live, but the longer he stayed up here, the more the call of glory kept tugging at him.
You started believing your own bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 100%. I'm seeing that, obviously. That's why I keep calling you out on it.
Osbert wasn't like this at the beginning of the game. It's
what I don't
it's
understand.
something. It's part of his like character arc.
I don't know if you remember this or not, Tim, but when we were creating characters off screen before we started this, your character was the leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you had to drop out for work, like we made the decision to shift it to Nick, and then Nick's character kind of grew toward it. What about Keegan? Like, what's Keegan looking for?
Right.
To be honest, what Keegan's first goal was in coming up here is to find something to do with his life, because his life had been nothing up until that point other than serving people. But then apparently he started to realize that that's what he was good at, and that's what he should continue to do. So at this point, like, part of my story is that nothing significant had ever happened to Keegan except when he was 8 and he burned his eye. That's the only thing that ever happened in his life. So he finally said, you know what, I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm going to do something. And he came to the north, and he has nothing to go back to. He has nothing going on anywhere. And so he clings to finding things to assist with so that he can feel like he's made a difference or he mattered in some way.
Yeah. So no, I mean, this is just kind of a broader question, and Tim, I think we should let everybody else answer this because they've been kind of in the midst of the game the longest. Like, are you the good guys or the bad guys? I think that's the question I've been asking myself over the course of the game.
I mean, when you think about it, the party's goal is to kind of sow chaos, is to keep them from uniting again, like keeping it from being its own power and setting its own destiny. So I think so, yeah. I would say we're the bad guys.
Calvin strives to be
For
neutral.
selfish reasons. So maybe in the grand scheme of things, we may be seen as the villains, but from our own perspective, we just want to make our own way. So it's hard to say. So yeah, kind of neutral.
What do you think, Calvin?
Calvin was striving to be neutral, or like neutral good, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not here to like conquer anyone. Like that was never his intention. Like he wanted nothing to do with these politics. Like he was just looking for a place to settle and grow. And so, like, if this ends up allowing him to do that, then I guess okay. But like part of him's thinking like it might just be better to slit her throat and just call it a day, like wash our hands of it.
Miguel?
Yeah, like it'd be a terrible thing to do, but then it wouldn't be our problem.
Yeah,
and then he can go back to doing what he wants to do.
It doesn't strike you as like cold-blooded for someone.
Well, that's why he mentioned
so long.
That's why he mentioned she should run. Because he doesn't want her to die, but it might be the easiest thing for her, just to be like, if I can't outrun my past, I might as well deny my fate.
What do you think, Collinsworth?
Collinsworth absolutely believes that he's a good person. From his perspective, he came up here because he saw what his brother was capable of, and he's seen what anyone who even showed a modicum of that ability, what has happened to them. And so he actually staged a romantic mix-up because he heard the stories about his cousin Credence and how Credence had a certain romantic mix-up with an important person so that it would convince Calvin to leave. And that's why he did that. And so we were fleeing up here, and all Collinsworth wants is to have a nice settlement to live a simple life in. and to raise some animals and to be at peace. That's truly what he wants. But he realizes in order to do these things, we have to have those protections, and he's willing to do what it takes to get to that point.
Yeah. You think Keegan feels the same way as the others?
So there was a point, like early on, when Osbert started shifting direction and making really weird calls, at least in Keegan's opinion, that he was like, we're the bad guys. I'm pretty sure we're the bad guys. And that's kind of where his thought went. And then as things happened, he's like, but those guys are the bad guys too. So like, does that make us the good guys if we kill the guys that are also the bad guys, or are we just bad guys killing other bad guys? And so it got really confusing inside of his head. And so at this point, he is probably, I'm just going to coin this term, involuntary neutrality. That's probably where he kind of sees the group, because like, yeah, we do bad things, but we're doing bad things to bad people. So that's got to be like, that's got to even out somewhat, right?
Yeah.
So I think he keeps justifying it as that, because he's like, well, they were pieces of shit too. It's okay that we were pieces of shit to the pieces of shit, right? Like that's that's kind of
if you're doing bad only to obtain bad.
He's not entirely sure if the means justify the ends kind of thing, but he's trying to convince himself, because deep down I think Keegan's a good guy, but he's really easily led astray.
Yeah.
If you truly want what it sounds like you want, the best way to do it would be not to slit the girl's throat.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be like,
that is definitely evil.
That's going to the extreme of bad. Yeah. Still trying to do neutral. You say she died up here past the bridge, and then she goes with me.
But she can also ensure that you keep Stonehold. There's a lot of value. She's a lot of value. Anyway, I wanted to ask you all. What you want. I'm not going to suggest the direction you go. I just wanted to ask that question because I think the undercurrent of the game is that it's a place of like opportunity, but you have to fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a lesson, I think the broader lesson really at the end of the game is that it's never ending strife. Like there is no such thing as peace in the North.
Right.
There's no way to achieve that peace because you're still encroaching upon lands that are older than you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that your efforts are fruitless. Doesn't mean you can't hold Stonehold, but
and it sounds like you guys want to be the lesser of two evils.
Yes.
Which is three evils. Sorry. But you want to be the lesser of the evils, so at least you have that goal in mind. I would go with neutral being okay. I would go maybe leadership choices and chaos over here.
I mean, the broader arc essentially, the broader arc basically, the broader arc is in the same ways that our old Cahabro game started with the Kargat. The broader arc brought you from coming to Stonehold and knowing that it was once occupied by people to discovering the people, the Nameless, who once occupied it, and they fled, right, to stay safe in Sentinel Pine because they knew that there was no way for them to survive otherwise. They had been overran by the Marcher Lords.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, because I was thinking about how this book ends, like this story book ends, it's really about are you doomed to do the same thing that people did before? Will you be successful even if you try? And that's something we need to discuss. We need to discuss, this is where I was going to with this conversation. This is an open conversation for everyone around the table, is like, what do we want to do that's actionable in the next 2 game sessions? Because we have, once again, finite time. And if we want to do something big and bombastic and close this out in a fun way, we can do it. If we want to just epilogue everything, that's fine too. It just depends on like what you all want. Obviously, Tim, this is like your second session.
Full on more. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and you're only going to be here for 4 games. That's just total.
Right.
But I think broadly, like, what do you want to have happen in the next 2 game sessions? From your what you learn in the entire game, not just tonight, but the entirety of the story. Like, where do you want the next 2 sessions to take your characters?
I will support them in the lesser of evils. Like, they obviously saved my life. I feel like I owe them like that, like a life bond for that. I will give them my time because I do know that the other 2 factors in this are pieces of shit, as Keegan likes to say. Total pieces of shit. You know, so lesser of two. I see this as a lesser evil. Do I think that an Andal should rule anywhere in the north? No, I've learned my lesson. And I keep trying to explain that lesson, but they don't seem to listen to me.
Right.
Well, they don't. But yeah, to be fair, I think that they are ambivalent toward that.
Right.
Which is kind of the big drive for like why they continue to do the things that they do. But noted. So if Chauncey's going to defer to your decision making, like above board, everyone, like what do we want to do in the next 2 sessions?
Slaughter.
I mean, I think like bringing this Salamander storyline, Salamander/Spite storyline to a close is something that, you know, it's kind of been unfinished for a while. Like, I think we all could agree we want to finish that piece at least, right?
Yes.
Part of me wants to try to escape the north. Like, if the idea is that Chauncey can go south and set up a land down there, and Abigail is willing to just run with us, like she wants nothing to do with this northern area, then we're trying to maybe escape the north, head back to the south.
Does that seem like going completely like against the thesis of the game? Like it's like
well, sure, but we have 2 episodes. What can we resolve in 2 episodes besides abandoning the quest, which was something that Calvin was willing to do from day one?
Well, of course,
like he came here, there was nothing here for us. We should just turn around and go home.
Unless it's.
If I'm wrong, Dan, but like some of this stuff we could probably achieve in broad strokes, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Okay.
find Otrick.
Right.
Well, unless it's epilogued or something that
I mean,
because we took Abigail later on, we could go back and take part of the north once we have forces because we've developed a country or whatever.
Yeah.
Would be very valuable to Aglador. Like, think about it for a second. So, and this is really just this is the background of a broader story that I think really nobody here, maybe except Tim, knows about. Like when we first started playing this game, God knows how many years ago, Dunbreed was one country, and then it was riven in 2, and the Cavendish line was seemingly lost, and it split into Dalriada. That's when the White Wolf and the Torqued Lords came. They're like, fuck, we can take Dalriada and just wipe out everybody. They didn't succeed. They got turned around by King Cassander Malister the Unifier in Aglador. So somebody of that bloodline is incredibly invaluable, but it's clear that she doesn't want that.
Yeah.
So just to lay that out there doesn't mean that's a string you need to tug on, but I just want to be clear on like what that means.
Me as a player, I don't feel comfortable using a person as a bargaining chip. So like to me, like doing that within the confines of the game like just doesn't feel right. So I don't really want to, you know, bring this person down so I can quote unquote use her, you know.
You don't want to run a vassal state,
basically.
Right.
Well, yeah.
If she goes south and she's found out,
like I may play some chaotic characters, but like I draw a line somewhere, you know.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise, kind of the way I saw this going was we would find Otrig, we would get the Nameless on our side, and then, I mean, Calvin would try to use Sorsha to help get in and take out Salamandra again. Mm-hmm. And if we can take out Salamandra, hopefully we get Sundown Hills on our side, you know, because the king will then, or the Thane or whatever he is, would be in the right state of mind, and then we can then confront Spite over that, you know. That would ultimately, I guess, be the way to go, but there's also just the option to run and let them deal with the North as it is.
It just seems crazy to me that like we spent however many odd game sessions and then we're just be like, fuck this, we're leaving. Like it just doesn't make any sense. We have so much invested here.
I just want to be so we're not repeating the same information here. I think Mike offered up an alternative.
It's a very good solution.
But I want to hear from Kay and Adam.
Okay.
I don't know. I can see either way that it would end up working. I kind of like Mike's idea, to be honest.
Which one of mine ideas?
The one of basically us going back with Otrig and then taking out Salamandra with like Sorsha's help.
Yeah,
And then at the same time, at that point, we could also be taking on Spite, I guess.
One game session for Salamandra, one game session, the big final battle with Spike.
Yeah.
I'm not against that.
I mean, there's time.
Yeah. We're going to narrate some things in broad strokes, obviously, if we went that direction. But I think I definitely want to hear from Adam, though, before we kind of
Be a nice
until we
little
carry ourselves
pretty
to the
vote for you.
decision.
That'd be a nice little pretty vote.
Right. So some of the things that the strings that I still want to pull on in the next 2 episodes is Charlotte. Definitely want to find that out, because this will be
big mystery. See what
yeah,
happens.
it was a big mystery, and I'd like to actually use my professional trait. So that's it's narrative and like player wise, that's what I'm most interested in accomplishing over the next 2. But as that's not like truly integral to the story. So as long as we can hit that, I do like the idea of doing broad strokes, because we realize we don't have all the episodes left that we don't have a ton. We've got 2 episodes left. So if we do broad strokes, we can deal with Salamandra and with Spite, and just kind of say that, we were able to somehow find Otrig, and, we'll go back to the Nameless and see how they reacted. And
so if we're kind of in agreement on that approach, what I vote we do is that we bring this session to a close. We don't get into the details tonight. Next week, we will narrate how this part of the story closes up, and we will begin with the encounter with Salamandra in Sundown Hill, which may or may not turn into a fight, depends on what direction you take it. So we'll decide that narratively, how that unfolds. And then they'll give us if it turns into a fight, it turns into a fight. It doesn't. Then I gives us one last session for epilogue.
I have some ideas for epilogue.
Yeah. So hold on to those.
Okay.
Hold on to any other ideas, but if it sounds like we're kind of all in agreement, we want to roll some fucking dice. So I think more importantly, above and beyond rolling dice, we want to bring the story to a close in a way that closes the loop. Right,
the storyline.
Yeah, and the loop. We know that the loop right now is like getting the Nameless on your side, because you need them to go against, because you're intended to go against Salamander regardless. Mm-hmm. So we'll narrate what happens next week with that, and we'll bring tonight to a close. Everybody gets 50 reward points, by the way, for participating, and we do a conflict roll for tonight, which is kind of important for some people if you're anywhere close to order of chaos.
Already over
7.
Okay.
They rolled 7.
At 12 conflict.
If you gain no conflict, you can either go toward belief or flaw. It's up to you. So, all right. Well, we'll wrap up here tonight. We'll see, or you'll hear us next week on Desperation Point. Thank you for your patronage. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And there's only 2 sessions left before we start a new game. So more on that later. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.